20 people indicted in an alleged conspiracy ring, including 2 sheriffs, several police officers, and a former state trooper. The charges target what investigators call a deep network of corruption.
Whether you are a dealer or doctor or trafficker or a manufacturer, if you break the law and illegally peddle these deadly poisons, we will find you, we will arrest you.
7:42 a.m. The sheriff's office buzzed like any other Tuesday. Fluorescent lights flickered overhead. Deputies shuffled papers, coffee brewed. All routine until black tactical vests filled the hallway. No sirens, no shouting. Just the heavy footfalls of FBI agents. Precise and deliberate. They didn't need chaos. They already knew what they'd find. Their target? Sheriff Daniel R. Calderon. Beloved local figure, community mainstay, protector of the people. The man who shook hands at parades and posed with kids at school visits. Now, those hands were cuffed behind his back. But the real horror wasn't the arrest. It was what they found in his office. Behind the plaques, inside locked drawers, lay bricks of vacuum-sealed fentanyl, meth, bagged and rubber-banded, bundles of cash stacked neatly, almost proudly. On his desk, the very place citizens came for help, white powder dusted the surface. A rolled-up tube tucked behind his business card holder, a crushed pill bottle buried beneath reports signed with his name. This wasn't petty corruption, this was rot. The sheriff hadn't just turned, he'd transformed. The man sworn to protect had become the very predator he once hunted. And the question investigators kept asking as they led him away was the one that kept them awake long after. How deep did the infection go? The architecture of betrayal. The arrest looked sudden. It wasn't. For more than 2 years, the FBI had been quietly watching. What began as anonymous tips, whispers of unusual traffic stops, strange financial patterns, unexplained favors, slowly hardened into something far darker. This wasn't incompetence or corner cutting. It was design. Investigators realized Sheriff Calderon wasn't freelancing. He was infrastructure. Money moved to him steadily, predictably, between $600,000 and $700,000 over months. Not bribes tossed in desperation, but scheduled payments. Reliable, almost professional, compensation for services rendered. Those services hollowed out law enforcement from the inside. Patrol cars didn't intercept smugglers. They escorted them. Police radios fabricated emergencies to clear highways at critical moments. Evidence vehicles, trusted implicitly, became transport for cartel cargo. The badge wasn't authority anymore. It was clearance. The uniform wasn't protection. It was camouflage. And Calderon wasn't alone at home. His wife, Emily, appeared unremarkable to neighbors, quiet, friendly, invisible in the way that draws no suspicion. But her cleaning business told another story. No clients, no payroll, no work. Yet tens of thousands flowed through its accounts every month, clean on paper, filthy in origin. When agents confronted her, she didn't protest. She didn't ask why. She already knew. Pulling that thread unraveled everything. Calderon wasn't an exception. He was a blueprint. Operation Crosscut. Dawn breaks over Florida. By the time most Floridians woke up, it was already over. Hundreds of federal agents had moved silently in the dark, positioning themselves with surgical precision. This wasn't a sting, it was a takedown, months in the making, designed to shatter a criminal empire in less than an hour. At exactly 5:55 a.m., Ocala lit up first. And in an internet cafe, seemingly harmless with neon signs and the hum of slot machines, was actually a criminal hub. Inside, the air was thick with cigarette smoke and whispered deals. Then came the breach. Steel doors twisted under battering rams. Agents stormed in. Dealers froze mid-transaction. One suspect dashed toward the exit, only to be leveled by a K9 before his hand hit the doorknob. In under 90 seconds, it was done. Silence returned, broken only by the ticking of cash counters still holding fresh bills. Just 3 minutes away, another strike unfolded. In Lake County, agents poured into a warehouse through the loading bay and front office at once, catching the occupants mid-paperwork. Slot machines, cash drawers, safes. They seized it all, $280,000 in cash. But this wasn't the end. At CMI, a bland-looking office building revealed the most disturbing trove yet. Labeled files hid nothing. Agents uncovered 324 illegal firearms, many modified, Then, 2.3 tons of narcotics, fentanyl, methamphetamine, enough to wipe out towns. But one object silenced the room. Taped beneath a desk drawer, a handwritten list of sheriffs, each name labeled safe, unsafe, ours. It was a scorecard, a ledger of who was bought and who resisted, a map of corrupted justice. This wasn't infiltration, it was occupation. The borders, broken gates. Florida was just one battleground. The infection extended far west, reaching the very edge of the nation, where America's border was supposed to be sealed tight. But here, the betrayal ran even deeper, because while Calderon had sold out his community, others had compromised the entire country. At the El Paso port of entry, Customs and Border Protection Officer Manuel Perez Jr. had developed a quiet rhythm. A subtle hand gesture here, a cleared lane there. His code wasn't spoken, but it was understood. Trucks loaded with migrants, narcotics, and money glided past without inspection. Hidden compartments stayed hidden. Nobody stopped them, because Perez had already given the signal. The system trusted him, so no one questioned the flow. And in return, Perez was rewarded. Regular, quiet payments, delivered in unmarked envelopes or handoffs that left no trace. It wasn't flashy, it was deliberate. But not everyone was so subtle. At San Isidro, the busiest crossing on the southern border, Officer Leonard Darnell George didn't bother with gestures or codes. He let the flood pass right in front of everyone, migrants packed into trunks, duffel bags of fentanyl. Entire shipments waved through without a glance. And for this, George pocketed over $400,000. Bribes openly accepted. He didn't hide it, and when his case finally reached court, the jury didn't take long. The evidence was so overwhelming, they returned a guilty verdict almost instantly. George was sentenced to 23 years in federal prison, but that sentence echoed far beyond one man, because it proved a horrifying truth. America's front line wasn't just compromised. In some places, it had already collapsed. And if the protectors at the gates are selling the keys, who's left to guard the nation? The weight of broken trusts. The arrests were staggering. In total, 126 people across Florida were taken into custody. Another 20 indicted in Mississippi, including 2 currently serving sheriffs. 14 law enforcement officers, past and present, were placed in handcuffs. Authorities seized 2.3 tons of lethal narcotics. They confiscated 324 firearms, some military-grade, others illegally modified. And they traced $42 million in cartel money, laundered through a maze of fake businesses and shell companies. But numbers don't bleed. Numbers don't bury children. Hospitals in Calderon's jurisdiction reported a spike in overdoses, many tied to the very drugs moved under his watch. Communities shattered. Parents watched their kids die, never knowing those pills were shepherded in by men they trusted. The patrol cars they once waved to had become vessels of destruction. Every badge now casts a longer shadow. Every uniform invites suspicion. The line between protector and predator has blurred. Trust, something earned slowly over decades, collapsed in moments. This wasn't brute force. The cartels didn't need to shoot their way through America's defenses. They simply bought the guardians, one favor at a time, a handshake, a bag of cash, a silent compromise that, repeated enough, became a new normal. Corruption never kicks down the door, it seeps in. An overlooked favor here, a look the other way. One weak moment becomes a habit, and soon, the entire system walks with a limp, hollowed out while still standing tall. Sheriff Calderon didn't flip overnight. He drifted, one step, one choice at a time, until the man who promised protection had sold the very soul of his county. This is the true threat, not an enemy charging our borders, but one already inside, wearing the colors of the law. The headlines told one story: high-profile arrests, cartel ties, weapons seized, sentences handed down. But beneath the surface, a darker question lingers, one that no press release can answer. Is it really over? Because corruption doesn't die, it adapts. It disappears into silence, reshapes itself, and waits for the next crack in the wall, the next officer struggling with debt, the next sheriff seduced by power, the next moment when no one is looking. The trials will bring justice, but will they bring change? Even now, investigators can't say with certainty how far the infection reached. That handwritten list with names marked ours, was it exhaustive? or just a fragment? How many more officials are quietly waiting for their knock at the door? Calderon's fall will echo for years, but the system he enabled, the quiet agreements, the steady laundering, the disguised betrayals, may still be breathing beneath the surface. Because corruption rarely announces itself. It doesn't come with red flags. It comes with politeness, a nod, a favor, a shared silence. And so the fear remains. Not just that this happened, but that it's still happening, elsewhere, unnoticed, protected by the very trusted poisons. And somewhere out there, someone believes no one is watching, but someone always is.